Hey folks, it's Johnny with Prepper Base 1, and today I'm going to talk about a subject that comes up quite often, and that is how long can you leave magazines loaded before the spring takes a set and the magazine becomes unreliable? That's a pretty good question. Let's talk about that. All right, I'm going to approach this subject based on my own personal experience over the years with different types of magazines. Now, magazines are generally made from three types of material. You have steel. This is an East German AK-47 magazine made out of steel. Polymer. This is a Magpul Gen 2 for an AR. And aluminum. This is a GI military issue, government issue aluminum magazine. Now, my experience with steel magazines are as follows. I bought this magazine and a whole bunch of others like it years ago. I got them on sale. They were brand new in the wrapper. And over the years, I've traveled around quite a bit. When I went overseas to Kosovo to contract, and from there I went to Afghanistan, and from Afghanistan to Germany, I put all my stuff in storage with my son. And these magazines were fully loaded when I put them into storage. It wasn't until about 5 years later that I got them out of storage, and I came here to Arizona and I took some of them out, and they function perfectly, not a problem. I've had these magazines like this loaded as long as 13 years and still took them out and they function just perfectly. Now you might be asking yourself, why do you leave magazines loaded that long? And that's because I have stuff stashed here and there, whatever. And sometimes I get things out of storage and I use them, but I've had magazines like this for 13 years loaded, fully loaded, kept in a proper ammo can, in a good environment, cool, dry environment, and they function perfectly. I've had a similar experience with polymer magazines. I've had magazines loaded as long as 3 to 5 years, take them out, run them, they function perfectly. No problem with the springs, just like the steel magazines. Now my experience over the years with aluminum magazines has been just a little bit different. When I went to Kosovo to contract guarding American military bases, we were issued American M16A2 rifles, and they were issued with American issue GI aluminum magazines. Now I don't know how long these magazines have been loaded, but they must have been loaded for quite a long time. And I noticed a few of the magazines I was getting were bowing out at the magazine base. They were starting to round out and bow out. And I brought this to their attention and they didn't really care, so it didn't matter. So again, I have no idea how long those magazines were loaded, but it must have been a long time. So one day I'm sitting in a guard tower, and I have my rifle set in front of me, and I'm observing the Kosovo landscape, and all of a sudden I hear this twang, clack, 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 and I look down, and the magazine that was in the rifle, the floor plate blew out, the spring, the follower, the floor plate, the rounds were all at my feet, and I turned it in. I noticed over a period of time that approximately 25% of the magazines they had, and these were aluminum military issue magazines, had rounded and bowed magazine floor plates. So I can only assume that they had been loaded for so long that the pressure finally started bending the aluminum. Now when I contracted in Afghanistan, we used a number of different variety of weapons prior to being issued American series weapons. One of them was the Czech CZ-58 with a folding stock, and they use aluminum magazines. And we noticed over a long period of time that some of those magazines were starting to swell a little bit and making it difficult to get into the rifle. So, based on my personal experience, I've come to the following conclusion. If you're using steel or polymer magazines and you keep them loaded for a long time and they're kept in a proper environment so that the magazine springs don't rust or whatever, they will last like forever loaded. And I've basically done 13 years is a long time, and 3 to 5 years is a long time. The magazines I've used, steel and polymer, that have been loaded for extended periods of time, all function perfectly. I have noticed though that with aluminum magazines, I tend to check on them quite often because depending on the manufacturer, depending on the storage, whatever, I've seen aluminum magazines fail basically because they were loaded too long. Now that's just my personal experience. Other people may have other experiences, but that's my conclusion. Steel and polymer, good to go forever. Aluminum, you got to check on them every now and then. So hopefully this video did you some good. If you liked it, I'd appreciate the thumbs up. It's always good for the algorithm. And if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and subscribe. And until next video, God bless and watch 6.